Hello everyone, this is your Cisco trainer and I welcome you to lecture number 4 from the course CCNA 200-301. In today's lecture we will cover all these stuffs. What is GUI, what is CLI, what is rollover cable and adapters, how to connect Cisco devices, which is the base simulator we are using with the slave, and Cisco IS CLI. It is a 100% completely free course to pass CCNA exam 200-301. If you like the video, leave a comment and share to help spreads. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, stay tuned please by just clicking on subscribe button, thumbs up, hit the bell icon, and do not miss the upcoming Alderson notification. What is CLI and what is GUI? CLI means command line interface, used to manage and configure Cisco devices. Most Cisco devices, include router and switch, use a CLI command line interface to configure the network device. The CLI is an interface based on text. You type configurations command and use show command to get output from the routers or switch. There are also a GUI. This ASDM is from the ASA5005, so I have used this one. A graphical user interface for the routers and switch and firewalls. But the majority of work is done on a CLI because all the engineers use this one. Why? Because it's easier to copy from one router to another routers or from one device to another device. This might sound dated, but with the so many commands that are available to use, the CLI is much easier to work with than any of the graphical interface. It is also much easier to copy the entire configuration from one device to another device. Graphical user interface is not used with the Cisco. All the engineers or all the Cisco engineers, they are allowed to work with the text or command line interface. So these are the tools that we are using with the Cisco connections, or how we use Cisco devices. Here we have a 2 console port. This is a RJ45 console and this is a USB mini console. But nowadays in the new computers, the new computers are not built in with the DB9 connector. The rollover cable, one end is a DB9 connectors and the other end is a RJ45 connectors. So we can connect or we can access the switch or the router with these 2 computers. We have another ports and auxiliary ports, a remote base as well, but with the next slides or next videos we will cover that as well. But today's computer, they are not manufactured built in with the DB9 connector, so instead we are using an adapter in order to make a connection between a Cisco device or a routers. This engineer tried to make connections between Cisco devices or Cisco switches via his Mac computers. He tried to make and consider about the OSI model there as well, and they try to connect the Cisco devices. So as a rollover cable, and this engineer tried to make a connection. So either they are using RJ45 or a USB mini as well. This Catalyst switch 2960 series a PoE switch. Rollover cable color combinations. It is a similar cross cable with a little difference. So these are the pins 1 through 8 and other sides also. The color combination of a rollover cable, which we use to make connections or to access a router or switch, is a completely vice versa of each ends. It means if a DB9 connection, a DB9 ends have this color combination, so RJ45 will have this color combinations. It means it's a vice versa of each others. Pin 1 goes to pin 8, pin 2 goes to pin 7, pin 3 goes to pin 6, pin 4 to pin 5, pin 5 to pin 4, pin 6 to pin 3, and pin 7 to pin 2, and pin 8 is to pin 1. And also I have put a little image of a cable here for you in order to get a full understand of how a rollover cable work or how the color combination is. So from left side we have A, B, C, D like this, and from the left side we have a descending Z, Y, and so on to this. So it's a color combination for the DB9s, a rollover cable, for a rollover cable color combination. This tool is used to accessing Cisco devices, and awesome tools. It's an awesome tool. I really love it. So you guys use as well. We have lots. We have a PATI. So it is a PATI. You can use secure CRT as well. So, but it is based. Here we have a COM. Which COM? The COM is based on your computer. Maybe your computer COM4 or COM3 or COM2, but in my computers here, I use a COM1 and the speed of 9600. Don't attach to any other. Just click on serial in order to have this built-in baud rates, speeds, and so on. So click on serial. This window will appear for you. The COM is, as I told you, depends on your computer which COM is used. Based on your computers. What is baud rate? Baud rate is the speed or the rate which information is transferred in a communication channel. And the serial port context, 9600 baud means that the serial port is capable of transferring a maximum of 9600 bits per second. What is data bits? And what is stop bits? Data bits mean, and we have a data bits and also we have one stop bits. It means one stop bits will send with the 8 data bits and mark the ends of data bits. And also we have a parity. What's parity? Parity has names, alright. Parity used to detect the error, and also we have a flow control. Don't bring changes on this as a built-in. So it's the default setting of accessing the Cisco devices. Flow control is used to control the flow of data. Click on open. When you click on open, you will have the first initialize page of the Cisco devices. But in order to check which ports of which COM is used by your computer, just bring up run and type dev-mgmt.msc. Click on OK. This page will appear for you. As of my computer, I use a COM4. So it is dependent on your computer which COM are used by your computers. So it's the first page or the initialize first boot. When the switch boots or when the router boots, you will see lots of stuff on the console. First it will initialize the flash memory. And this shows us that their unzipping has fallen from the flash memory. It's a configuration modes. When you click on open on a serial, just type no and get to exec mode. Actually, there are 5 iOS modes: User EXEC Mode, Privileged EXEC Modes, and Global Configuration Mode, Setup Mode, and RAM Monitor Mode. The first 3 modes are used to view current settings and can configure new settings or modify existing settings. The next 2 modes are used to set up initial device configuration and troubleshoot the device in emergency cases. So these are the modes. We have user modes, or in a switch, maybe a router or a switch. User modes, type enable, move to enable modes, type configurations, configure terminal to configuration modes, and sub configuration, and so on. So when you jump to the first step, just type exit or control Z. So this is in the next we will have a lab and a packet tracer, and I will show you how to configure these stuffs. But I recommend you for the CCNA, try to use a packet tracer. Packet tracer is awesome, but beyond the CCNA, use a GNS3 or EVNG, UnitLab, so on. User EXEC Mode. User EXEC Mode is the first mode of the iOS. No matter how a user accesses this iOS, the iOS always places the user in this mode. If configured, the iOS prompt to use the enter the password to access this mode. This mode has very limited command that allows the user to view statistics and perform basic troubleshooting. This mode does not allow the user to change any of the setting. This mode is starting or entry points of the iOS. Other modes of the iOS can only be accessed through this mode. It is sometimes called user mode as well. User cannot make any change to configuration of the Cisco devices. This little mark is show has the host name of the router, and this sign shows has the exec mode. What is user privilege mode and how we access the privilege mode? Just by typing enable, and the router iOS will send us to the privilege modes. With the privilege mode, we can do lots of stuff. To view, save and erase device configuration, to take the backup of the current device configuration, to restore the configurations from backup, to install a new iOS file, image files, to debug or troubleshoot the device, to restart or reload the device. This is the second mode of the iOS. This mode can be accessed only from the user exec mode by executing the enable command. Since the enable command is used to access this mode is also known as the enable mode as well. So let's jump to the next slide. What is global configuration mode? I have comment on the screen of routers, lots, and stuff in order to have a complete view and knowledge about their routers. A global configuration modes. Via global configuration modes, we can do each and everything with the router. We can configure the router, we can change the settings, and we can configure the SAP interface of the router as well. So I have typed here conft or config t. So I have noted here tab is used. Tabs are really helpful commands for the Cisco devices. When you type, tab is used to complete the command. Type en and hit the tab button, it will complete the commands. So here I have typed en and I have hit the tab key, and they may complete the enables. And also password is a key sensitive in a Cisco iOS. Now jump to the global configurations. Conft is a shortcut for the commands in a real environments. With this, with the lab, I will show each and everything for you, and I will show all the usage of shortcuts on how to type the commands with the configuration mode as well. So you can type conft or configure terminal in order to jump to the next slides, or this sign is here show as the global configurations mode. With the global configuration mode, I have already told you we can do each and everything. Sub configurations mode, interface configuration modes, configure routing protocols, configure virtual interface, configure inbuilt security feature of the OSI, line configuration mode, IPX configuration modes, and lots of stuff with the global configuration mode. Enable passwords. Why we use password? As you know, because of security purpose, in each device we have to set or enable the passwords. Type en or enable, hit tab to complete, en, and so on. But as I told you, a password is a case sensitive with the Cisco devices. When I type exit, it will brought us to the first page or the monitor mode. So I type enables configuration terminals here, exit. When I press exit, it will bring us to the first stage, but I have typed here enable password, enable password. Here I have enable password. I have typed enable a password, but the password is CCNA. It's enable password. Enable password, Cisco is case sensitive. The enable secret password can still be cracked with the right tools. Both password will be cracked, but the difference between a secret password, enabled secret password, and enabled password is enabled password is a plain text with the enabled secret password is a encrypted format. So that's why we use these two passwords. But I recommend you use enabled secret password. Enabled secret password is it put a little time to decrypt it. So just put a little time and make a little harder to decrypt it. But the enable password, it's very easy to decrypt it. Now let's jump to the next slide. Enable password. So I have typed my password here. I have typed. What is the beauty of Cisco routers or devices, it will not show us how you type the password, but I have already typed the CCNA password, and I'll jump to the privilege mode. The password is not displayed because of security issues. If the password entered wrong 3 times, you will be denied for having bad secrets. But in this screen, I have typed the password 3 times wrong, but it says this message passed from the screen, bad secrets. So I cannot go forward because the password is wrong. Running config and startup config. What's running config and startup config? Why we are using this two awesome configurations, running config and startup config. So show running config. All the configurations are in a running config or in a startup config. Actually, when we are working with the Cisco devices, the configuration, first we are working with the configuration, these are in our RAM. So RAM is a kind of RAM. After losing the power, all the configuration will be lost. So instead, we are using a startup configuration. A startup configuration is a kind of RAM and non-volatile memory types. So when the power goes down, the configuration is still safe in the router or a Cisco devices. So in this 2 example, I illustrate both of them. So here, enable, and I have typed the password, show running config. These are a lots of stuff, a lots of configuration file, but I just copied or screenshot this area of the data in order to show you how the startup config and running config are. Enable password. So as I told you, the enable password is a plain text. Here the password is a CCNA. Running config reside in a device RAM. So if device lost a power, all configuration will be lost. A startup config is stored in a non-volatile memory of a device, which means that all configuration change are saved, even if the device lose power. So here I have typed show running config. There's a lots of stuff I have with the Cisco devices. And in here I have typed, in order to show you how a startup config save the file, show a startup config. And the routers says startup config is not present because I haven't saved the file. It means I have not moved configuration file from RAM to NVRAM. Now let's check. Saving file. We can save file with the 4 ways. 3 ways to save the file configurations. Type write memory, copy running config to a startup config. The shortcut way is WR. So I have date each and everything, and I also I have commented on the screen of our routers. I try to move or I try to copy the file from running config to a startup config, or from RAM to NVRAM. I try to move file from RAM to NVRAM. So here now, before in a last slide, I passed a command show a startup config, but there wasn't any file. So in here we have show running. I issued a command show a startup config. There's a file using 636 bytes. So these are the files that I have moved from RAM to NVRAM. So it is a really good command. When you work with the Cisco devices, try to copy your file or try to move your file from RAM to NVRAM in order to not lose your configuration files. Service password encryptions. Why we use service password encryptions? Service password encryption is used to encrypt the passwords. So I have issued this command here, service password encryption with this Cisco routers. Before you have seen the password was CCNA, but I have issued this command. Now the password is encrypted. What does mean 7? 7 means indicate that Cisco router use 7 types of encryptions. This is based on Cisco algorithm. These encryption passwords are noted as a type 7 password. It is really easy to crack these passwords. It is stored in plain text, a readable form. Still, it is weak and vulnerable. Anyone can compromise it. So it is really, we can decrypt it or we can crack it. I have used a tools on a Google how to decrypt this password. So service password encryptions do show run the password is now encrypted, but I have used these tools. Enter encrypted password. I have used this from the Google. It is a crackable tools how to use it for encryption and decryption. I have just pasted this encryptions format here and show password. These tools used decryption format of the CCNA, and they showed has a CCNA as the password. It is really easy, but I recommend you try to use a password, enable secret password. It is good. It is hackable or crackable, but it needs lots of time for encryption, decryption of enable secret password, because that is user MD5 hash algorithm, MD5 master digest version 5. Enable password secrets. I have noted commented as well here for you. Type configure terminal and hit enters. Configure terminal is the example how you make it, and type enable secret S to M. The differences between password, enable password and enable secret password is this. When we type enable password, the password is in a plain text. It is stored in a computer with a plain text, and when you show the view the configuration file of the router, he will or she will be able to crack the password, and he will read the password as well. But we can encrypt it by the command service password encryptions. When we type enable secret password, but here I type enable secret S2M study to master, the password is completely different from the enable password. It is encrypted from encrypted form and cannot be entered as the password in its current state. Enable secret is relatively safer than use enable password. It is not uncrackable. So what is 5 here indicate? 5 indicates mean a message MD5 master digest version 5. It's a kind of encryptions the Cisco use. The Cisco device or router are used such a types of password encryptions, but I recommend you use enable secret password is based for Cisco devices. Negate command or canceling the commands. What does it mean negate? So here I have two types of password I have already enabled. Enable password secret and also enable password. So how to make cancel these commands in a Cisco router or devices? Just put a just put no in front of the command in order to make it negate or make it cancel. How? Let's check how we make it negate or how we disable the password. So I have note and comment for you as well here. So jump to the global configuration mode. Just type configure terminal. Now we are in a global privilege modes and enable configure terminals. Now for canceling the command, use no. Before the command that you want to cancel it, let's disable the enable passwords and enable secret password as well. Just type no enable password. I have already did no enable password. After this there will be not any password, or type password has removed. The password has removed. No enabled secret. Let's verify it. So exit, it will bring us to the first the exec modes or the privilege modes, and I have issued a command show running configuration. There will be there won't be any password because I have removed it. So this is the negate command in a Cisco devices or Cisco routers. When you are using or when you try to canceling or any command, just put negative sign no before or in front of the command and hit enter. The command will be negative or the command will be disabled. Sorry. Thanks for watching. That's all for this video. If you want to show your support, please subscribe the channel, like the video, leave a comment and share the video with anyone else studying for CCNA.